Okay.
And still says we're waiting for it. It says starting streaming less than a minute ago. So, can you hear us? Question mark, question mark. Yep, there we go. We're burninating it up. Okay. Life is good. Should be sound now.
Well, if there's no sound,
yep. No,
it doesn't matter if you say there's
Tim
sound.
says got
Still
sound.
can't hear
Tim,
you.
yep. Now there's sound.
Okay. Alrighty then. Ahoy hoy.
Ahoy hoy. Do you realize that that's an actual thing that Alexander Graham Bell thought of? He said, rather than saying hello, you should come up with your own the own particular way to answer the phone. And he came up with ahoy hoy. That's really a thing.
That's funny.
Ahoy hoy. And only Mr. Burns would be old enough to have remembered
exactly
what ahoy hoy meant.
Mm-hmm.
All right. View. Exit full screen. I don't know why it has to be full screen, but it thinks it wants to be. That's good. That's good. And I don't see Tadano Hitohito.
I don't see him either.
All right. And Tim asked the question, why am I logged in as you? I'm a trans host. I'm Trans Wilder. Yeah, but the real answer is so I can run the podcast if the Mrs. Computer goes down. And it's time. We got movie sign and Mark's here.
We got movie sign.
Bombs and bands. Bombs and bands.
All systems go.
Bombs and bands.
Defiance.
Bombs and bands.
This rebel has a cause.
Bombs and bands.
We begin as wanderers, and we are wanderers still.
Welcome, everyone, to the 114th live edition of Bombs and Bants and Wednesday Rants. As always, I'm your dedicated and humble host, John Wilder, coming to you from the penthouse control room of the majestic Wilder Industries skyscraper. With me, as always, is Mark.
Hey.
And the missus.
Ahoy hoy.
Ahoy hoy. She's in the bunker.
And you're in the penthouse? We have a penthouse now. Wow.
It's the top floor, is it not?
Well, I was unaware.
It's the top floor, and there's more than one floor. So,
It's a science building.
So how
the
are
lights
you?
working? Well, it would if you'd stop spitting on it.
Okay, thank you, Cheech and Chong.
You're welcome.
I can even name the album. I think that was Get Out of My Room. It was Get Out of My Room. All right, the missus. How are you doing?
Fabulous. Thank you for asking.
And the Mark.
Dazed and confused.
For so long, it's. Oh wait, I'll stop there. So dazed and confused. Well, why are you dazed and confused? Have you been trying to pay attention and parse out the things that Nikki Haley is trying to say?
No, actually, it was just reading the news generally. Anyway.
There you have it. There you have
so
it.
What's Hickey Naley doing now?
Well, tonight, remember, they are doing another debate. They're having a debate between Haley and DeSantis and Chris Christie. And I think Christie's there because he heard there was a buffet. And Vivek, or is it Vivek? It's Vivek.
He rhymes with cake.
Yeah, Vivek.
Vivek.
Vivek. We'll just call him Ted. Let's just call him Ted. So
you'll all be named Beverly from now on.
He's Beverly. All the candidates are named Beverly. Well, I mean, yeah. They are number 2, if you know what I mean.
So I do know what you mean.
fecal matter.
Thank you, Johnny.
Well, come on. These are the people that are in second place to Donald Trump, who is just tearing. I mean, he is the nominee unless they manage to put him in jail, which I something tells me the Don's gonna escape
So I
because the
heard
Don always
today
escapes.
that before the first Republican debate, and he's taken flack mostly from Democrats because he won't debate, that he was up 41 points before the first debate. Now he's up 49 points.
Yep, he won the first, second, and third debates.
Yeah, absolutely. Doesn't even have to be there.
Tim notes that you might hotten up your mic a little bit.
Oh, my mic is a little low.
Yep.
How's that? Is that better? Sometimes I just
I
have
don't
to
know.
sit closer.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what Tim has to say and get some good feedback and carry on. So you're doing well, Mark. The weather up there frightening, cold, good.
So, actually, we hit some mild weather last week, so it's all good.
Okay, so you're saying it's on a salsa scale, it's Taco Bell, huh?
I'm not sure that made any sense on any planet.
I don't think
I don't know
it's
what that
mild.
means.
Mild, see.
But they have
hot.
Diablo sauce.
It's still not very hot.
And Taco
Come
Bell doesn't
on.
have salsa; they just have sauce.
The only way that Taco Bell sauce is hot is if you put it in your eyes.
I think the
You know-
Diablo's pretty good. It's pretty spicy.
Well, the problem is that I haven't eaten at Taco Bell for so many years that it's meaningless to me because I don't know or remember what any of their sauces are like.
They only have 7 ingredients, and 3 of them are made from soybeans. So let's carry on, because we have actual stories tonight.
we do, but we have funny things first, though.
Oh, you
It's
have
my job
well,
to find you funny things on the internet.
then
So here's the
drive
first one.
the bus. Drive
Here's
the
the
bus.
first one. It's an otter in bed. And for those of you with small screens, it says, that night Steve couldn't sleep. To not expose his identity, Batman was either driving the Batmobile uninsured or committing insurance fraud. So that's the first one. Now the next
Okay.
one, we did have a holiday yesterday because it is the holiday season, of course. And yesterday's holiday was Krampusnacht, which is December 5th. Krampus, for those who are uninitiated, the legend of the devilish Krampus, the rooted in Germanic folklore, now spans centuries and continents. Said to roam the streets in early December in search of naughty children to punish, this foreboding figure wields a handful of birch sticks for whipping disobedient youngsters. Who doesn't like that, right? Carrying the most unruly off to the underworld on his back. Good children will instead be rewarded by St. Nicholas. Krampusnacht, a night of costume revelry, is celebrated every December 5th with participants donning masks and clanging bells in a parade known as the Krampuslauf. Okay.
That sounds exactly as autistic as my Germanic ancestors would want it to sound.
Exactly. But now I have the funnies that go along with it. So here's the first one.
Mm-hmm.
It's visual.
I see that.
Okay. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the next one. And again, for the small screens of you, oh sure, everybody says they want to keep Christmas traditional, but when I dress like the Krampus and put their brats in a sack and beat them with reeds, suddenly I've gone too far.
I don't
Okay.
think so.
And then this last one, Wilder, is just for you. It's not Krampus, it's Cthulhu Christmas.
No, there you go. All I want for Christmas is when death will never die.
That's right. The greatest of and oldest evil.
He's not dead. He's just waiting until
That's right.
the stars are
Yeah,
right.
we just want
He's waiting to jump
rise
in.
up from the ocean depths.
He's waiting to jump in to run for Democratic on the Democratic ticket for president in 2024.
All right. So am I cleared to?
Yeah, we are all clear and ready to go.
All right. Well, rushing right forward into the story. Hey, the U.S. government caught themselves a spy, an actual spy. Well, I mean, it was after he retired and after he's been doing it for 40 years. Better late than never, I guess. Anyhow, Victor Manuel Roca is his name. And here's our illustrious Attorney General, Merrick Garland, to fill in the plot holes.
This action exposes one of the highest reaching and longest lasting infiltrations of the U.S. government by a foreign agent. Rocha repeatedly referred to the United States as, quote, the enemy. During the undercover, he told the undercover that his efforts to infiltrate the United States government were, quote, meticulous and, quote, very disciplined. And he repeatedly bragged about the significance of his efforts, saying that, quote, what has been done has strengthened the revolution immensely.
Sounds like every CIA director that appointed by a Democrat in history.
No kidding, right? And here's the funny thing about that clip is that clearly Garland worked a really hard and a long time on that, and then he just screwed the pooch. He told the undercover, I think you're missing a word. Anyway. So he
Yeah,
caught
there
a
you have
spy after he's been spying for all these years.
So
Yep.
who was he spying for?
Cuba.
Cuba.
Yeah.
Well, you know, it's always good that they can hire foreign nationals to fill these security positions.
Oh, we'll be getting
And-
to that and think real fast.
And not
Don't
only
forget
did he spy on the U.S., he used his position as an ambassador to spy on other South American countries.
Oh, he was an ambassador for Cuba?
For a
or-
while, he was
For
very
us.
high up in the State Department.
he worked
Yeah,
for
he
us.
worked for us. He was our ambassador. He was like the U.S. ambassador to Brazil or someplace like that. I don't remember off the top of my head what country he was ambassador to, but one of the South American countries, and he was clearly feeding information back to the Cubans the whole time.
Come on,
Well,
he was
that
being
probably-
he was being a
that probably
traitor.
explains-
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was going to say that probably explains how he was able to get along so well with all those Latin American leaders.
See, he was just being a traitor like Americans won't.
Right.
You know,
That's very true.
it's bringing the diversity we need. All right. Speaking of diversity, let's talk about fast food. We have
Welcome to McDonald's. That'll be $111.25.
For 2 Big Mac meals?
Yeah,
That's outrageous.
I guess it's what you pay for with the wonderful Biden economy.
I can't afford that.
Oh, well, that's where you're wrong. With the new McDonald's McLoan program, you can pay off your Happy Meal in easy monthly payments. Want a basket of fries but can't pay it off today? Pfft, McLoan is here to help. It's super simple, and you can apply over our McApp. That's $111.25 per burgers will be broken up into 3 equal payments of only $50. Eat your McFood right McNow and get the McLoan to pay for it later.
Well, I guess that's better. I'll pay for it with my new McLoan, I guess.
Don't worry about eating today. You'll be loving your new McLoan.
I'm McLovin' it. Yeah, actually, so there's some apps that so you know you're buying from Domino's and they'll say, hey, don't worry, you don't have to pay for that entire pizza today. You can just pay $6 a week over the next 6 weeks. You know, it's gotten a little crazy. When you have to finance a pizza, there might be a problem.
Well, fast food has just gotten so expensive.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't buy the extra value meal at McDonald's. They're all you buy one, it's $10.
That's it's extra but not value. Speaking of extra but not value, the Ivy League's pretty expensive, but things on Ivy League campuses are getting spicier than Taco Bell hot sauce in your eye. Columbia, not the country, but the school, and several other schools have booted Students for Justice in Palestine off campus for their stance on Israel. Maria Molong, a student leader for Students for Justice in Palestine on the Columbia University campus. Here she is in an interview with 60 Minutes.
So they close all the gates, they bring hordes of NYPD, and then they make all of the students of color feel unsafe.
So all the cops on campus making all the students of color feel unsafe. And that picture, actually not Maria, but close enough.
Yeah. I have maintained before on this podcast, and I will maintain in real life and maintain it. I stand in favor of both sides of those people because both sides, the pro-Israel people hate me, the pro-Palestine people hate me. They're just leftists fighting leftists, and I couldn't enjoy it more when I watched leftists fight leftists on college campuses. That's my stance.
Well, and I'm very pro free speech, and so I feel the same way. I mean, we do need to have folks there to keep them from duking it out and from anybody getting hurt or killed, God forbid. But, I was listening to today congressional hearings. They dragged the president of Penn in, they dragged the president of Harvard in, and they said, is marching around on campus calling for death to Israel and for the genocide of the Jewish people and Israelis, does that violate your campus policy on hate speech and bullying on campus? And none of them would say yes. They would both say it just depends on the context. Okay,
And
now if any other group was marching on campus and calling for the same thing of any other ethnic or racial group, fill in your own.
Except,
they
Except.
would. Yeah.
there's at Texas, Texas A&M, which is known to be a very conservative campus. Guess what? Texas A&M, one of their professors called for the death of all white men. Still has a job.
Oh yeah, that's perfectly acceptable. Absolutely.
So at least they're consistent, And keep in mind, you have this weird dynamic. It's all the far left kids for Palestine. You have a lot of rich leftists that are funding Columbia who are for Israel. And so you end up with this weird dynamic. It's kind of, again, like I said, none of them like me. Zero of them like me.
Well, so I heard someone say this earlier today. And they said, if you believe that the color of your skin doesn't matter and that all people should be treated the same, in 1930, that made you a radical. In 1970, that made you a hippie. In 1990, you were mainstream. Today, you're a fascist.
Mm-hmm. I guess it all makes me feel unsafe. Actually, just again, I look for the microwave. Where's the popcorn button? I'll just watch. Thanks. Whenever your enemies are making a mistake, don't interrupt them. Mark, you have thoughts?
It just Columbia and the Harvard and all that. They're sort of like the pit full of alien eggs in the Aliens movie, and that's probably the best solution that was offered in there. Is the one that's best for us. Nuke it from orbit.
Nuke it. So the question, I'm going to make a hard translation here.
That's enough of this. It's enough of the serious news. Let's do some fun stuff. It's Christmas, for goodness sakes.
Yes, and so
not yet.
It's the Christmas season.
It's Krampus season.
Come on, you're drinking eggnog and wearing your ugly Christmas sweater.
Are you a Krampus denier? Don't be a Krampus denier. All right. You may be wondering. All right, so the question before us is this: just how drunk does a Vietnamese guy have to be to not notice that someone shoved chopsticks up his nose and into his brain during a brawl? The Gen Z anchor from Fox 11 in Los Angeles has the MG.
A Vietnamese man has been experiencing terrible headaches for 5 months, okay? Finally, he went to the doctor. What did they find? They found those things. You know what those are? Chopsticks lodged in his skull.
Yeah, so apparently, again, he'd been having terrible headaches for 5 months. Goes to the doctor, something's in there. Chopsticks. That's what they are.
Mm-hmm.
So the guy goes, chopsticks? How did I get? Oh, yeah. There was that night I got really drunk and got in that fight. And I remember vaguely someone hitting me in the face with something that was really sharp. That's some serious kind of drunk.
Well, and when I look is it's not one chopstick, it's both of them.
Yeah,
So both of them up into his brain.
yeah.
Mark, do you think that took out his consonants, or maybe
It cooked his nines.
6, 7, 8,
10.
10?
You know, that that's pretty amazing. I mean, that's like catching a fly with the chopsticks to get them both right up the nostrils in a sudden blow.
And
Well,
you have
you
to
know,
think the other guy was drunk too, so that's a pretty impressive feat.
Yeah, this is somewhere. I mean, there should be a song. We didn't make one. I wish we had known about the story because it would have been some sort of either kung fu fighting parody or secret Asian man parody. Secret Asian
Well,
brain. Secret
maybe-
Asian brain.
Maybe he was fighting someone that was trained in the drunken master style of kung fu or whatever.
That's probably it.
Oh man. Oh,
Up
and
your nose with a pair of those.
and Tim Turner, he can count 1 to 10. All right. Before we get into trouble with the censors, because I've got some funny jokes, you may be wondering to yourself, Self, what is the newest public health crisis in this stupid new world in which we live? Well, now you can answer with this. Self, in this stupid new world, the answer is taking selfies. The Newsbot explains.
The analysis revealed that the most alarming incidents involved deaths related to selfies in water locations, including taking photos in picturesque and attractive settings. While the research noted that normal cell phone and app use is risky, the two most common causes of injury and death among the 5 peer-reviewed studies were falls from heights and drowning while taking photographs. Over the 13-year study period, researchers found that approximately 400 had been reported, 77 of which occurred in the U.S.
So
Do
I'm
you
going
know-
to go for it.
Do you know what would solve that problem? If before you could take a selfie, you had to go to a special licensed dealer or licensor person. I know that's a new phrase of mine. And fill out a form and then undergo a background check and a waiting period of several days at least before you could take that selfie. And I can assure you that if you had to do that, these people wouldn't even bother with selfies.
And have selfie-free zones.
Mhm. That's right.
That's right.
And very strict punishments for people who disobeyed those rules.
Unless
That's
they're
the
Democrats.
only way we're going to solve that problem.
And maybe a federal bureau that would just look and, the the Facebook selfie and Instagram bureau.
And Jim Wetzel
Please.
notes that it's just common sense cell phone control.
That's right. But I'm
So
going to
no,
take
no,
this-
I have a question for you before we leave this topic.
Oh, we're not leaving this. We're not leaving this.
What demographic group would you say is the number one victim of death by selfie?
60 plus.
No, think about it real hard. Mark,
I
you,
did.
you got a shot on this one?
I'm just going to say millennials.
Mark is closer. It is female tourists in their 20s. Shocking.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Okay, now I'm going to take this into a darker place.
Okay.
So the Newsbot can't say analysis. What I heard was perhaps the most dangerous version of a Middle Eastern terrorist group ever, anal ISIS.
I didn't notice that. Actually, okay, so I've had problems with the AI text to voice generators, right? Because they all want you to pay.
Mhm.
But then I realized Google Translate doesn't make you pay at all.
That's right.
So I just go in there, paste it in there, translate it to Spanish, and then switch sides of the Google Translate, and then make it speak it in English. Ta-da!
And so now we
Ha-ha,
understand why
AI.
all the Spaniards are talking about anal ISIS.
That's right, anal ISIS.
Okay. All
Better
right.
than being the world's first anal rapist.
Well, yes, indeed. Anal ISIS. Yeah. So if you were a therapist, but also an analyst, you could be
You're right.
an anal rapist.
Yeah, anal rapist sounds
Oh,
pronounced.
an anal rapist. I'm sorry. Okay. Let's cleanse our palates with a song.
Wait,
Or
this is not
a
a
thing.
song. This is the taking the selfie.
Is it PSA?
Sort
Is it an ad,
of.
a PSA?
Sort of. You be the judge. Here it comes.
Okay, so like here we are. Oh, we're gonna have an awesome selfie from here. Okay, all right, okay, here I am on the edge of the cliff with the 1,000 feet sheer drop off behind me. Wait a minute, the light isn't right. Let me. I'm gonna get so many likes on this post.
It's the sound at the end of it. There she hits. That makes me laugh.
So here is my thought, and this is what has inspired me on this one. It's a combination. Are you ready?
Okay.
Social media and funeral service.
I like it.
Instagon.
And the algorithm encourages people to take dangerous selfies.
Yes,
Ta-da!
Instagon.
Yeah,
Come to Instagon.
I like that. Instagon. So I'll write that one down.
That sounds like something the Canadian Health Service would do.
Or Snap Casket.
Yeah, Snap Casket.
Oh, my face plot. Oh, all right. Well, that brings us to Neil Young.
Does it? Because next
Yeah.
on my list is Conversation Street.
Oh,
See,
is
you're
it?
constantly moving these things. See, I keep them
Well,
in
you
the same
didn't-
order. No, I keep them in the same order every week. Nothing's changed.
Oh, so you want to have Conversation Street? Oh, okay.
Well, no, I don't want to. This is where it was at the beginning because I haven't moved anything.
Okay.
The weekly things stay in the same place. They never move.
Okay. All right. Well, hang on. Let's go to Conversation Street. Let me bring up some conversational topics. I was going to do that in a little bit. Wow. Did you know I was following Russell Crowe? I didn't know I was following Russell
What?
Crowe on Twitter.
Here, let's just have some background music.
Oh, on Twitter.
Okay. You can play the conversation.
Okay.
And now it's time for us to take down the smooth sidewalks of Conversation Street.
All right. In tonight's debate, Vivek brought out a pad, and on it he had just written in Sharpie, Nikki equals corrupt. I'd like your reactions.
Who brought that out?
Vivek
Who
rhymes
brought
with
that
cake.
Yes, Vivek held it up.
That's funny. That's
Do you
my
think,
reaction. That's funny.
do you think, Mark, that DeSantis is now bummed he can't pull out the Christie is fat printout now?
Oh, well, I mean, if he feels bummed, that's terrible because I think he still could. You know, especially he could pull it out, wrap it in a cream puff, and then throw it. Christie would probably dive off the stage.
There you have it.
I'd have
And
to
that-
agree
that-
with that because, okay, so we have a very fat dog, and the only time he ever runs is where he thinks food might be involved. So, just extrapolating from that experience.
And he does run for food.
He does.
Okay.
Well, he'll run for money too, but
Well, our Conversation Street has kind of been broken by Vivek holding up that sign because it has just blown out the other content on planet Earth. Boy, so I think that's our Conversation Street. Anybody else have anything?
Works for me.
oh, I just want to see what Trump does with it.
Yeah. Chris Christie equals cake. All right. Well, let's move on to Neil because I'm ready for that.
Okay. All right. Here we go.
Neil Young.
Hey, get that jackass out of here!
And I'm proud to present my Brain Jackass of the Week.
All right. Number one, I have just this: Brandon Johnson, mayor of Chicago, notable jackass.
You want to see from the border deal that's being discussed in Congress, and would you want some limits placed on the flow of migrants from other cities and states?
Well, it has to be better coordination. You know, what we've seen is a very raggedy form.
So, in case you couldn't hear, because it was a reporter off in the far distant, the hinterlands, who was asking about the border, you know, because Chicago's been bitching about that stuff. So here was his answer.
Instituted by right-wing extremism. Everyone knows that the right-wing extremism in this country has targeted democratically ran cities. And quite frankly, they've been very intentional about going after democratically ran cities that are led by people of color. And their whole motivation is to create disruption and chaos, because that's what that particular party has been about. Right? This is the same political party that did not want to accept that President Obama was actually an American. It's the same Republican right-wing extremism that stormed the Capitol. It's the same right-wing extremism that refuses to accept the results of the Civil War. It's raggedy. It's disrespectful. It's mean-spirited. It's an unclean spirit, quite frankly.
Are you sure that this isn't Chris Rock doing a parody of the mayor of Chicago?
Well, I kind of feel a little bit there, like it was the guys from Delta House when they were before the Greek tribunal in Animal House.
Mm-hmm.
I won't stand here and listen to you badmouth the United States of America.
Okay.
What's causing all this problem in my city? It certainly isn't my fault. It's racists.
So the debating, people not accepting the Civil War outcome, are there like rebels still fighting somewhere down
See,
in
I don't get that one.
We're on a rebel
Virginia or
moon.
something?
Because
What?
online, Democrats have been wanting to refight the Civil War
Mm-hmm.
for about 10 years now.
And
Well,
then Obama not being an American, that was Hillary's campaign that started
Right.
that.
this was the biggest whine in the history of whines. Let's move on to number two. Sheila Jackson Lee. She's running for mayor of Houston. The runoff election is coming up this Saturday, December 9th. Let me say that again, December 9th. Pay attention. Here's the audio, but that isn't where the problem is. But let's listen politely and look at part of the ad.
Now I'm running to be your mayor, because if we're going to bring down crime, fix our streets, and bring good paying jobs here, then Houston needs a champion who's ready to fight for what's right. And I am.
She-Jack is on the case. Now let's just check out the visuals from her ad, shall we? Here, let me, oh, come here. Let me move that and embiggen that a little bit. Now remember,
Hey, now wait
the
a minute.
runoff is coming up on December 9th. Let me say that again. December 9th.
So if you posted that on Twitter, the feds could come after you for trying to destroy an election.
Right. So why
Because,
is She-Jack not in jail for this?
Because Ricky Vaughn, noted Twitter troll during 2016, Ricky Vaughn said that you could text to vote for Hillary. And if you're that stupid, then what you have are stupid people who are you're being arrested because people are so stupid they don't understand a joke. Except here's a person who's so stupid she doesn't even understand her own election.
I am kind of
Well,
wondering. Oh, go ahead, Mark.
Oh, I just said she definitely needs to be arrested. I mean, you know, with Vicky Vaughn, I mean, if there's any sort of justice or equity.
All right.
So that did actually run in the Houston market.
Which makes her a federal felon.
Yeah.
It makes
Well,
her a
maybe-
federal felon.
Maybe she's trying to appeal to the Japanese vote.
Okay.
And I didn't
I'm
hear
not
the
getting.
little disclaimer that they normally put on there. You know, I'm She Jack and I approve this message.
What's she saying it though?
But she didn't say December 7th. She did not say that. Here, do you need to hear that again?
No, I don't need to hear
to be
it.
your mayor. Because if we're going to bring down crime,
The
fix
person
our
that
streets, and
solved
bring
those
good
problems
paying
is
jobs
She
here,
Jack.
then Houston needs a champion who's ready to fight for what's right. And I am.
Ta-da.
I've only got one vote so far, and that's Jim.
You know, that's interesting that she would end her message with a proclamation that she was God.
Yes. Oh,
I wonder if the Jewish voters will catch that.
all right. So, Mark, what's your vote? The commentariat is unanimous.
I'm going to go with the mayor of Chicago because I think he's the biggest
Chris Rock wins.
donkey.
Yep, Chris Rock wins. Congratulations, Chris. Let's give him a round of applause.
Hey, way to go.
Can you imagine if we actually sent a trophy?
And
How
this
they
has
would
been Brain Jackass of the Week.
how they would skewer us. I'm sure that would be something horrible.
Oh, it would probably be like some sort of threat.
Okay. So
Well, we just have to rename it. We call it the Democrat of the Week, and just say that no, the trophy looks like that because that's the symbol for the Democratic Party.
That's right.
Yep. And send him an envelope so he can send it on the next week to the next Jackass.
Yep.
It's a traveling trophy.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Are we ready for Think Real Fast?
I don't know why it's doing that.
Yeah, it's okay. So I'm just going to make an interesting note. So I was looking for items for Conversation Street, and the monitor is a little bit farther away. And so there's one of the stories I noted for Conversation Street, and I didn't bring it up, and so we'll just use this as the beginning part of Think Real Fast. I don't need a response. But Hunter Biden threatened with contempt of Congress if he balls on testimony, and that's what I read was balls, and it's really bails on testimony. And I'm just wondering, where did Hunter Biden not have his balls? I think they've been everywhere. All right.
See, I saw a very similar headline to that today. It was about some football coach. I don't know. It might be college. It might be NFL. I don't recall. But what the headline was, coach expects to have appendicitis this weekend, will be on the field on Sunday or Monday or whenever it was. Mm-hmm. And I looked at the person who read the headline to me, and I went, shouldn't that be he's anticipating an appendectomy? Not appendicitis? Yeah.
Yep.
Gen Z writing headlines. That looks right to me. What do you call it when you can use both hands to write or throw a ball? Amphibious? Okay, looks right. I'll go with that.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. All right. So it's time for Think Real Fast, and we're definitely not doing that. So let's get. It says on the label. Also, give me a breaking news on this one.
Maybe. Yeah. Okay.
Breaking news.
Norman Lear, the man who made fun of the right with Archie Bunker. Interestingly, Archie Bunker became beloved, and Maude, who didn't ever become beloved. Also, Maude also had the first sitcom abortion. Well, Norman Lear is dead. Mark, is this a very special episode?
No, but it warms my heart.
It warms your heart. And it probably warms his since he's burning in hell.
Yeah.
All right. The missus.
First words. I didn't think it'd be so hot in heaven.
The missus.
Yeah.
Kissinger, Lear. Who is Death going to grab next out of the claw machine?
Those are some pretty big ones, I gotta say. Yeah.
But here's the funny thing about Norman Lear.
Yeah.
His influence is now ignored. It's hardly even noticed about anybody who's below 50. They're like, who's that? But
he was old and it's been a long time since he's done anything.
Well, I mean, look at it this way. I mean, because I was thinking about this today, but he basically made all the sitcoms during my childhood stupid because they became preachy. Sitcoms became preachy.
Right.
And
Hmm.
the reaction to that is you go into the 90s and suddenly you've got sitcoms like Seinfeld in particular that were the complete opposite of that. They were literally, they described themselves as a show about nothing. And they never had anything in there that was preachy or trying to advance some sort of social message or position.
Although there was the
And
episode when, remember when Kramer accidentally set the Puerto Rican flag on fire and stomped it out to put the fire out and got in trouble because he was stomping on the Puerto Rican flag? Yeah.
but it wasn't like, oh yeah, here's evil right wingers or whatever. I mean, they just, they pretty much stayed away from that. I mean, yeah, there was, I'm sure you could find some other examples, but for the most part, I mean, the show literally was about nothing, and they very specifically tried to stay out of controversial social topics.
Mhm.
Friends, much as I hate that, hate that series was, from at least what I saw of it, was sort of the same way.
Right.
Um,
Hmm.
Frasier was another one that I enjoyed, and that one was one that also tended, I mean, it drifted in occasionally, but it, for the most part, also tried to stay away from controversy.
Did
So,
everyone hear my beer?
No, didn't hear it at all.
no.
Well, I just don't want to hear about.
Does your beer talk to you often?
Does anyone? But again, let's not talk about
Have you
Alex
talked to
Pete.
your psychologist about it?
Let's not talk about Alex P. Keaton's abortion that he had because he's bulimic and abused. Moving along, because it's think real fast. Just when you thought it was safe to go back into the water, Venezuela has mobilized their army to strike at Western Guyana. Recent indications that several $1 trillion worth of oil were found in the country that, if you read the Wikipedia entry, is the red-headed stepbrother to the rest of the world. Mark, is this revenge because Venezuela was sad that Jim Jones didn't set up his cult in Venezuela instead of Guyana?
I think so. I think so. But maybe they could like scrounge up some old Kool-Aid and send it to Venezuela, or even welcome the Venezuelan troops with the Kool-Aid.
The missus. Is this just Ukraine but with fewer steps?
Probably. But I'm gonna actually mark here. So actually it was Flavor Aid, not Kool-Aid.
Really?
Yeah, really. Yeah.
So
Yeah, you're gonna kill you. It's gonna kill you, and it's
Cheap.
not even the legit good stuff. Yeah.
He went cheap. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Mass murder on a budget.
I'm gonna write that one down too.
Do write it down. Kelsey Grammer didn't stammer when he said that Trump got his vote in an interview with the BBC. Just after that, he was pulled off stage by his Paramount Plus handlers. Mark, how do you think Niles voted?
Oh, well, he probably just gave his mouse a cookie.
Okay. The missus, do you hear the blues of Colin?
So, I've heard Kelsey Grammer talk about this before, and he said something about having a conversation with one of his producers on the show and about him thinking about running for office and running as a Republican. And his producer made some sort of snide remark about, I can't even remember what it was off the top of my head. Probably shouldn't have even gone down this road because think real fast, it ain't. So forget I said anything. Let's just back that up. And
Do you
forget...
hear the blues? Do you hear the blues are calling? Tossed salads and scrambled eggs.
Yeah, exactly.
I got you pegged. All right, breaking news.
Look, a squirrel.
Breaking news.
This afternoon, White House resident Joe Biden raises the idea of American troops having to go to fight the Russians. Mark, why is Ukraine not a full load of not my problem?
I would really like to know, because there's got to be more than just the money laundering, but maybe that's it. Maybe they have pictures of Joe Biden and some goats doing something. I have no idea.
And what the goats would be doing would be massive cannibalism, according to Jim.
I'm getting there. I'm getting there. Hang on.
Massive cannibalism.
All right. The missus, is it because the Russians are dog-faced pony soldiers?
That's probably it. It's probably because, they get the money laundering, get a better deal on the money laundering through the Ukraine. But, I heard someone, again, who should know better today, say something like, this is crazy that we're not funding this because the next thing that's going to happen is that the Russians are going to take over Eastern Europe. And I'm like, what are you even saying? What would give anyone any indication that that was a thing that was going to happen?
Biden said that.
Because the Russians have done so well in this war against a third world nation? I mean, I know that we're giving them stuff, but...
I look at this from this point of view. If it's so freaking important to the Democrats, why won't they give in and vote like the Republicans want for better security on the southern border? I mean, they literally, basically what they're saying is they would rather see Europe fall to the Russians than to have a secure border on the U.S.
They don't.
Well, come on, you know the reason. If those people down there were coming across the border and they were all wearing MAGA hats, they'd be the first ones down there shutting that border down. They want those people to become voters.
Well, we'd probably do.
Joe Biden.
All those countries.
Joe Biden.
So here's my theory, and we can stop immigration tomorrow. Only allow women in who are ranked a 9 or 10. 9 or 10, come on in. And guess what? Immigration would be shut down by women in an afternoon. All right. IBM announced a new quantum computer chip with 1,121 functioning quantum bits. Mark, do you think that porn was their main market for this chip?
Oh, no, I probably domestic surveillance because they plan on using these to crack encryption.
It's a comedy show. It's a comedy show. It's a comedy show.
Okay,
I throw you out of.
It's so they can crack encrypted porn. All right, there you go. Satisfied.
You just said crack porn. All right, the missus, do you think this will make it easier for grandma to reach Yahoo?
I think that's probably the thing is making it easier for your grandmother to get back on AOL. Yeah.
So one of the things that when we went and visited, we lived in Alaska and we came back and we visited the Mrs. Mother, and so we came back and we saw her computer, and they were like 70 taskbars that she had downloaded. The screen was this on her browser was this little tiny bit because she had so many extra little work bars that were downloaded from like Yahoo and any place that she went, she downloaded those. You remember that, honey?
I do recall that, yeah.
All right. The hits keep coming for Disney. If the Disney company had taken $200 million, put it into a pit, covered it with gasoline, and burned it rather than making the marbles in the animated movie Wish, they would be ahead. I guess the hits that keep coming. I guess the hits that keep coming from Disney are body blows. Mark, why are they such haters that they won't go see Disney movies?
Well, probably because, being raised on the idea of stranger danger, they don't want to go.
The missus, how many refunds?
No refunds.
There are no refunds. And this is our final item. And it is also breaking news.
I'm not completely on the wrong page for that. Okay.
Breaking news.
The senator, aptly named Dick Durbin, wants to get illegal immigrants to join the U.S. military. Mark, there's no downside to this, is there?
No, why would there be a downside to giving a bunch of people that don't live in your country and the weapons and equipment to destroy your country?
Right, because they don't understand our values. That couldn't.
I mean, it's no
maybe our
different
language.
it's so different than in the past where some kingdom would invite in a bunch of mercenary soldiers that would then rampage.
Like the Romans with the Vandals. When the Romans hired the Vandals to protect Rome, and then the Vandals ended up sacking Rome.
Yeah, see, there's no downsides.
No downside. The missus. Do you think that we should have active Russian soldiers? Just throw out a thing that says we want Russian soldiers to join the U.S. Army, so that when we send our soldiers against the Russians, it's just Russians killing other Russians.
That's a great idea.
See, it's genius, right?
Absolutely.
And it brings it all together, right?
It's gold, Jerry. It's gold.
It's gold. That's the topics that we have, folks. It's an amazing.
That means we are done with.
Yeah.
Think real fast.
Oh, and the one time it actually plays without stuttering. Okay.
And I've got to say, I thought this was an excellent Think Real Fast, an excellent show. But, I might have had something to drink. The missus, you have any parting thoughts for us?
Who is that leveled at?
The missus.
Oh, me?
Yes.
No, I'm good, thanks.
Mark, thanks. That's a wonderful handle. Mark, any parting thoughts for this wonderful Wednesday evening?
Is that parting or partying?
Either, your choice.
Well, I recommend using a kazoo.
We will use a kazoo.
Just in general.
Outstanding.
I like that. That's good advice. Try a
Use a
kazoo.
kazoo. Well, on that note, I'd like to thank everyone for coming by to Bombs and Bands and Wednesday Rants. Yes. And had a great time. And I'll be seeing you next week. I'm John.
This is Mark.
And I noticed the music helpfully paused for you there while you were searching for words. Very convenient, that. Got to find out what the problem with is. Pugsley has got to get on this. He has been laying down on the job. Top men. And that's it. Y'all come back now, you hear.